Hi.
What's up?
It's like spooky season in here now.
I know. It's spooky season everywhere. I'm so excited.
It's officially October,
Yes.
so I got my ofrenda. I didn't show you, but it's in there. It's
Okay.
up. It's up. The kids were excited. It's time.
Yeah.
It's time for all the spooky stuff. How are you doing this week?
I'm good. I mean,
Yeah, it's Tuesday. Hey, everybody.
hey.
Welcome to another amazing week of Case Files with Kat.
and Ashley.
Yeah.
It's good. I mean, yeah. Here, hanging in. Haven't given up yet, I guess. That's a plus.
What you drinking?
Well, thank you for asking.
Yeah.
I worked really hard at picking this out. Just I'm drinking the Blueberry Blonde from Galveston Bay, which is one of my favorite beers of all time. I love Galveston Bay beers in general, but their Blueberry Blonde is one of my very favorites.
That's awesome.
I don't know. It's always just, I really love it.
Yeah.
If you guys are not familiar, they're located in Clear Lake Shores, but they're really good. They have, if you're in our area and you haven't been to their brewery, they have all kinds of good food. Anyways.
Well, awesome. Oh, I'm just, the huge.
The huge.
The huge. We have a big party coming up on Friday.
Oh, yes, we do.
The next week. This is gala season.
Yes.
So I'm exhausted already.
Well, I only have two. The one on Friday and yours, and I'm not going to any others.
Look, I'm already sleepy. Oh, staying up late. So Friday's my birthday.
I know.
I'm going to
Very
be
exciting.
old. I've been this old since I was like 6 months ago. And so I've just been saying that I'm 48 for 6 months. So now I feel like I'm turning 49.
Stop it.
But anyway,
We won't
yeah,
discuss
I'm
how
old.
old I'm turning.
Yeah, shut up. So anyway, all right, what you got for us this week?
Okay, so I was gonna do a disappearance because that's my favorite. But then I had heard this story a couple of times and I'd seen it on a couple of different shows, and it was just it's a different kind of true crime, because normally when we talk about true crime, that there's a victim and it doesn't end well, but in this one the victim actually turned into the hero. Kind of. She doesn't like to be referred to as a hero,
Right.
but other people view her as one.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So I wanted to do this story.
Okay.
And you may have heard about her because honestly they've done so many episodes, because her story is insane. So I'm talking about Susan Kuhnhausen. Susan grew up in Portland, Oregon, in a very loving family. Her parents valued education and compassion. She developed a passion for nursing at a very young age because her mom had been a nurse at one point. Susan graduated from the Oregon Health and Science University of Nursing in 1977, and that's when she began her career as an emergency room nurse. So that's just a little background information.
That was in the
Susan.
70s?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I tried to find the actual 911 call, like the recording of it, and I couldn't. So I'm going to read you the transcript, okay, before I get into the story.
Okay.
So this is a neighbor of Susan's
Okay.
talking to the 911 operator.
Okay.
She says, "We have an intruder in the house next door. The intruder was in the bedroom with a hammer. The woman who lives there thinks she may have strangled him. He was down when she left." 911 operator: "Can you put her on the phone?" "No, she's bleeding." "Does she need an ambulance?" Neighbor says, "No, she's a nurse." She says, "Call an ambulance for the guy. He might be dead." 911: "What did she use on him? She strangled him. What else did she do?" The neighbor: "She put a chokehold on him." 911: "I've got help on the way. Stay on the line." The neighbor: "She has a hammer here." 911: "Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Just leave it there." The neighbor: "She hit him in the head several times.
Oh,
That's
my
the hammer
gosh.
he had with him. She struck him and she strangled him and she thinks he's dead." That was the 911 call made from Susan's neighbor
Oh my
on
god.
September 6th, 2006.
Wow.
Right.
What?
Sip.
I mean,
Sorry.
what? So a man breaks in, he has a hammer. I took it away from him bashed him over the head, put him in a chokehold, and went screaming from my house.
Even the craziest part.
Okay. I'm here for it. This is crazy.
At the time, she's 51, okay? So on Wednesday, September 6, 2006, 51-year-old emergency room nurse had ended her shift. She was working at Providence Portland Medical Center on Northeast Gleason Street, and she was headed to the hair salon. She was,
As one does.
Yeah, she was going to the hair salon. It was on East Burnside Street, if you're familiar with Portland. She recalls that while she was waiting for her turn, there was a copy of Oprah magazine, and she began reading a poem in it that began, will not die an unalived life. I will not live in fear. Boy, talk about foreshadowing.
Wow.
Because like an hour later is when all of that happened.
Wow. So,
like I said, an hour later, she arrives home. She had just left the hair salon. She walks in. All is normal at this time. She walks back to the mudroom in the back of the home. And if you're unfamiliar with what a mudroom is, it's like a space set aside in a home for like dirty shoes, soiled clothing. Basically, like you take off anything that might track dirt and dust and mud throughout the home. So it was like in the back of her house. And so basically it's like a second entrance to the home. And again, everything looks ordinary, nothing unusual. So then she goes into the kitchen where she finds a note from her husband named Michael. Mike and Susan had been married for 18 years at this point. Their first date was in February 1988. They met in a garden next to Reed College where they would feed ducks and squirrels, and it was just love at first sight. They actually met through her mom put out a personal ad as a joke, not thinking anyone would respond.
Oh, my goodness.
I forget what it said, but it was just really silly, right? Like the mom and sister just kind of did it as a joke when she was like
embarrassing me.
Yeah, when she was like in her voice. But Mike had actually responded to it in a similar silly fashion, and so their first official date was at this garden.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, so within the year, they drove to Reno to get married.
Wow.
However, it soured very quickly. It wasn't very long after we got married, Susan said, that there was no more hiking, no more outdoor adventures, no more getting out.
Oh. Ended that quickly, huh?
He started slowly revealing to her in the early years that he had never really been happy.
Oh my gosh.
His life philosophy was life is a shit sandwich, and every day you take another bite until you die.
Oh.
And he would tell her that often.
How did he keep that in secret? How do you keep that kind of shit secret?
You know, like when you're first meet and you're in love and you got that honeymoon phase, and then
I guess you got to see the bad days too before you.
They weren't dating very long before they got married.
Yeah.
So, he may have been able to keep that facade up. So the couple never had any children, and Susan was fine with that. Mike, who chain smoked while guzzling Diet Cokes, would hound Susan. These are her words. They're like her direct words. Hounded Susan about her plans when she would go out. He would claim she was just spending and complaining about minor purchases. Mind you, she's an ER nurse. He works in an adult film rental place as a janitor. So I'm not for sure, but I'm just assuming the money she's spending is her money. You know what I'm saying?
I don't mean to laugh, but oh my goodness.
I'm just making that assumption that most of the
he
money
works in an adult film rental place.
As the janitor.
I mean, it was just like you were just building up that humor. That was chef's kiss. That was beautiful. Beautiful.
So the note that Mike had left said, Sue, I haven't been sleeping, had to get away, went to the beach. The note continued and said, I'll see you Friday or Saturday. As a reminder, this is on Wednesday. And then he signed it, love me, but not like L-U-V. I mean, not like L-O-V-E. He signed it L-U-V, like love me, like a teenager would. Anyways, Susan and Mike were in the process of getting a divorce. 18 years into their marriage, Susan had had enough. If she tried to kiss him, he'd burp in her face.
Ew.
If she wanted to go out, he complained. If she spent money, he complained. They never did anything together. So she said, I cared about him, but I didn't want to live with him anymore. I wanted to be happy again. In September of 2005, which is a year prior to this happening, she kicked him out of the house. He moved into his father's home, but Susan never changed the locks or their alarm code, which was their anniversary.
Oh, no.
She had asked Mike to house sit for the cats because she was going to a nursing conference, and that's why he had left the note saying he was going to the beach. He couldn't watch the cats. He supposedly hadn't been sleeping, and so for whatever reason, he couldn't sleep at the house with the cats. I don't know. But his excuse for not being able to watch the cats was that he hadn't been sleeping well. He was going to the beach. He would see her whenever she got back.
So I have a question. Was there any history of physical violence up until this point? Had there been any calls, or she was just like, you're miserable and I'm out of here?
Basically, they just grew apart. He was making her miserable because he wasn't the person that she thought he was. She just really wasn't happy, and she didn't want to live like that.
Yeah,
right?
But there was no history of violence or anything like that. Just control, manipulation. He sounded like he was trying to control her, but she's like, I make my own fucking money. Like, no.
Yeah.
I'm going to go do things.
Yeah. Like, she was still going out with friends, doing her own thing, working.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And so they just grew apart. Like she said, she didn't have any ill intent towards him. She just wanted to be happy again. So she had asked him to move out because he had somewhere to go. So he moved in with his father's house. So in future interviews, Susan was quoted saying that when she was growing up, she had not witnessed a lot of happy marriages. Her father, an Air Force cook, and her mother, the nurse, and then a homemaker, they separated when she was in second grade. So even though they were happily married for a while and a loving family, her parents did separate. And so life was chaotic as the children moved often from Colorado to Arizona, California and Nevada, just shuffling between schools and homes and the two parents. So she said, my parents loved me, but they couldn't teach me how to have a successful marriage any more than they could teach me how to fly.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's...
Okay, dang. I know. Oh.
So anyways, after reading the note, Susan was completely unbothered, right? Because he wasn't living there. It's not like they were
So that's
together.
why it's LUV.
Yeah. But at the time, like, she was just like, I guess she was just like unbothered because, like, why would she be, right? Like, again, another disappointment, surprise. He couldn't watch the cats.
Right.
So she unlocks the door to the door that's in the kitchen, and because she heard beeping of her security alarm going off. So she disarms it and walks through the house to the front door. Nothing seemed unusual. And so she goes outside. And then, so this particular evening, the weather was really clear. It was warm. And it was around 6:30. And she recalled just standing in her yard for a few minutes, going through her mail, like just taking a breather, just, relaxing.
Yeah.
So after a few minutes, she goes back inside and takes her shoes off. And she starts to notice how dark it was in her house, which for her was unusual because every day she would open the curtains to her house before she would leave, like, let light in.
Oh.
So she was starting to second guess herself. Like, did I forget to do that today? Well, as she's walking towards the curtains, suddenly from behind her bedroom door, a man lunges towards her. The stranger was 5'9", 59 years old, and weighed 190 pounds. As a side note, Susan is 51, 5 feet 4 inches. So she described him as wearing Dockers, a blue striped shirt, and tan baseball hat pulled down low over his eyes. His long hair was in a ponytail tucked into the cap. She said he was wearing yellow rubber gloves on his hands and carried a red and black claw hammer.
Question. Did her husband have long hair?
No. Okay. Well, I don't know, but it's not her husband.
Okay.
Why is it so burpy when it's my story? Like, what in the...
I don't know, man. Just burp.
Okay. It says, I saw a man step out of the shadows, and he began to hit me in the head and the face with a hammer, Susan said. I got the hammer and started hitting him with the hammer several times. My father, the carpenter, always taught me a hammer could be used for self-defense. The claw end would work the best.
Oh my gosh.
She's not fucking around. Okay, guys.
She is not fucking around.
So the attacker was Ed Haffey, is how I think you say his last name. Haffey.
Okay. HOFFE.
I don't care enough about him
Yep, sure.
to look it up. I'm sorry, guys. He's just worthless. So, and he's dead. So, anyways, the attacker was Ed Hoffy, and a drug addict who
Could be Hoff. Could be Hoff.
Haffey,
Hoff.
was a drug addict who turned out that he was hired by Michael, who
Oh,
was her estranged husband, to kill Susan. Michael was going to pay him $50,000.
sure.
I yelled, "Who sent you here?" I yelled again, "Who sent you here?" Susan said, "Tell me who sent you here and I will call you an ambulance." In this moment,
Dude.
Ed spoke the only word she heard him say that entire night, which is, "You're strong."
Yes.
The hitman did not respond to her on who sent him and wrestled the hammer back away from her and had tried to attack her again, like tried to put her in a chokehold.
Wow.
So she was able to get get the chokehold back. And so then Susan, that's when she grabbed his throat and squeezed. And so just to mind you, she's an ER nurse. So she had a lot of self-defense training because they have to know how to work with difficult patients. Like if they start struggling or freaking out or having a psychotic episode. So she's very well trained in self-defense.
Gosh.
So his face starts turning purple and then blue. And so then she let go, and she let go. She was going to let him live. And she tried to run out of her house to get help, but he caught up with her in the hallway and began savagely punching her in the face. So she pulled him down to the floor.
She's like, okay, do this again.
Yeah. Like she really was going to let him live. She did not want to kill this man because her whole life was dedicated to saving people.
100%.
And she didn't want to do this.
I mean, people don't normally want to kill people.
Yeah.
Just saying that.
So she pulled him down to the floor and repeatedly bit him in the arm and thigh, hoping that her teeth marks, if she went missing, like if he was able to kill her and she went missing, the teeth marks on his body would link
is thinking
her to him.
So far ahead. Oh my God.
So clearly this hitman plan failed as she relied on her hospital self-defense training, like I mentioned, to begin biting him, hitting, and choking. She even bit through his scissors to his genitals. At the same time, she tried to rifle through his pockets looking for a wallet that she could toss somewhere so that the police might find it later. She said, "I was like a downed power line snapping on the pavement." Wow. He turned blue.
Wow. Just wow.
Yeah.
The amount of like her ability to see in that moment of crisis, I need to make sure there's something left.
Yeah.
I need to be able to be found. And she's doing everything. Oh my gosh.
She was biting him, scratching him.
She was not going down without a fight. Wow.
She said he turned blue as I told him, "You're not going to kill me." Instead, she killed him. Wow. She said in interviews that the moment she realized he had been sent there to kill her was because he didn't ask any normal robbery questions like, "Where's your money? Where's your safe?" She said she could just see it in his eyes that he was there to kill her and that she was going to have to fight for her life. Wow. When speaking to the police, she told them that her fight for survival had lasted at least 15 minutes. Police.
All of that in 15. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Shit. She's my hero.
I know.
Wow.
Police later found notes in a backpack that had been left in the house's basement, which linked him to Michael, which is her husband. Inside the backpack, they found a bottle of Hershey's chocolate syrup, $200 cash, and diabetes pills. So, like your essentials, right?
What?
That's what was in his backpack.
Diabetes pills.
Hershey's chocolate syrup bottle, $200 worth of cash, and diabetes pills.
I'm okay.
He had also kept a daily planner, and in it marked on September 4th, which is 2 days before all this happened, it said, "Call Mike," which had Michael's new cell phone number. So it wasn't really that difficult to put the pieces together. It didn't take long for police to discover that Ed and Mike had worked together at the same adult video store. As it turned out, Ed was no stranger to murder for hire plots. In 1994, Ed was convicted of arranging the murder of his ex-girlfriend. He spent 9 years in prison and was released in 2003, so just 3 years before this happened. But the plot to kill his ex-girlfriend was really disturbing, and a lot of people were surprised that he only got 9 years. But I guess because it didn't actually happen, they couldn't do more. I don't know. Anyways, in his
Isn't that bizarre? I
Yeah.
don't know.
so in his autopsy report, it showed that he had a near lethal dose of cocaine in his system when he attacked Susan. So like how he was even functioning, they don't know.
He was a partier. He was a partier.
So there was an episode of I Survived that Susan was on, and she recounted how she felt in that moment, struggling for her life. And she said,
Wait, she was on. She did an episode. I need to watch that.
she's been on I Survived. She's been on Anderson Cooper. She's
Oh,
been
wow.
on 2020.
Oh, I need to watch her.
She's been on a lot of interviews and talk shows and YouTube videos and TikToks. She's everywhere because people wanted to hear her story. She said that in the moment of struggling for her life, she said, I immediately began to think about his family. Everybody has someone who loves them. Children, a wife, a mother, a dad. The worst of this is not that somebody tried to kill me, but that I had to kill someone else to survive.
Oh, yeah.
But I have no shame because I did not choose this death for him. I chose my life. I chose life.
Wow.
I mean,
wow. All thanks, Oprah. I mean, she went to the beauty salon and then she ended up having
but
to.
it was so strange, right? Like to just by chance, that's the poem that she read. It's just so weird to me.
So, okay. So she survives this. Is she traumatized? Is this traumatizing? I mean, she took a life, you know, how is she doing now? I mean, she's obviously on all the things. She's famous now.
I'm going to get to that.
Okay.
So I will say the reason that she's on all of these things is to promote self-defense for women, training.
Okay.
And I'll talk more about this in a bit, but like to promote for or advocate for victims and survivors of what their legal rights are.
Oh.
So she does a lot of that now. Like she does a lot of with the crime,
That's
like
great.
criminal justice system.
Yeah, that's great.
So I do talk about that in a little bit. So she does say in all of her interviews that while she does not feel shame, she does not take any pride in what she had to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Shortly after the incident, she changed her voicemail message to say, I'm not able to answer all the calls that I've received in the past few days. I'm being comforted by your concern and your support. I want you to know that our lives are all at risk for random acts, but more likely random acts of love will come your way than random acts of violence. So even after all of this shit that he has put her through, she's still just so positive and just like radiating love and positivity and wanting the best for people. Like,
She is a hero. I mean,
on September 8th, Mike left what they originally had thought was a suicide note at his father's house. It said, all I ever wanted was to be loved, and every time I had it, I fucked it up. Mike then went into hiding after this, but police found him a week later. He was spotted 10 miles away from the Providence Portland Medical Center, which is where Susan worked. He was going into a parking garage for the Kaiser Sunnyside Medical Center. And when police investigated him or like arrested him here, they're like, what are you doing? And he was like, I'm checking myself in. I have nothing left to live for anymore. Just all of this boohoo, woe is me shit. Like, really, like he was playing
we don't
the
feel
victim.
sorry for him. We don't feel sorry.
He was acting like he had no idea originally what happened. Like,
he was acting like he had nothing to do with Susan.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
To the day.
Okay.
To this day, he claims that he had nothing to do with it.
Okay.
You know.
All right.
The hitman just happened to work with him and have called Mike the day before.
Right.
And he was conveniently at the beach.
I mean.
And everything else.
Yes.
So, and he was checking himself into a psychiatric facility. So they put him into an involuntary psychiatric hold. 11 hours later, they decided that he was full of shit, but they wanted to cover their bases. And so they put him under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder. The following day, after his arrest, Susan filed for divorce and changed her name to Walters. So her name was Susan Walters, and she just dropped his name immediately. So, yes, girl, go you.
Go, girl. Wow.
Yeah, she wasted no time. Like the next day.
She's amazing. She's amazing.
So later,
ER nurses, man, they're just like, what you got? Okay, that was just another Thursday. You know, they
gotta be at work at midnight.
They go through so much. Yeah, she's amazing. Wow.
So later on, when this case would all go to court, Susan called it a very cowardly plan. Susan claimed that the real reason she thought that Mike had hired a hitman was because he wanted to reconcile. Yeah. He wanted her to stay. He wanted to move back into the house, but she wanted this divorce. And she was very serious about this divorce. She wanted nothing to do with him. She wanted him to be happy, but happy somewhere else. I mean, and to be fair, he seems quite unhinged. So I cannot blame her. I mean, she tries to kiss him and he burps.
She gave it the old college try.
He works in an adult video store and she's like busting her ass at the ER. Like, I get money is money, a job is a job, but god damn.
She was his meal ticket. So of course he wanted back in the house.
So, again, she said that's why. He wanted to reconcile. She did not.
Nope.
She was quoted saying, "If I ever believed you deserved to be dead, I would at least have had the balls to kill you myself."
She's just all... I'm going to emasculate you.
She said that in court.
More. Oh my God, in public on record.
Yeah.
Oh,
like, she called his plan cowardly and then immediately said, "If I ever thought you deserved to be dead, I would have at least had the balls to kill you myself."
That's me snapping. Yes, girl.
Go, Susan. Woo. So Mike claimed his innocence, saying he had an alibi, that he was at the beach because he couldn't sleep, so he escaped for a few days.
Yeah.
I imagine when you're planning on killing your wife, you can't sleep, but what do I know?
I bet he did. Like a baby.
I know. However, police did not believe this act. This was one of the few times I feel like the police were really on top of things in the stories that we do. I'm not saying the police aren't always, but most of our cases, they are not. They did not believe him for a second because there were so many factors, right? He had lost his job a week prior. He had no place to live because his father was moving in. He wasn't
even working at the video store as a janitor. He lost that job
a week prior to the murder attempt. He had no place to live because his father had asked him to relocate.
Okay, so there was escalation happening.
Susan had named her brother as her beneficiary on her life insurance policy, and Mike knew it because he was informed that he had been removed. And then Susan and Mike had paid off their house. It was worth $300,000. However, if Susan died, he would get the house. So the motive was to kill her so he could get the house. Not because he loved her, not because he wanted to reconcile.
Love ya.
Yeah, not because of the insurance. Like, he wanted the house because he had nowhere to go. He lost his job. He lost his living situation.
You're not going to keep the house if you don't have a job. You still have to pay taxes on that shit. God.
I mean, yeah.
Dumb.
So by the time of Mike's arrest, detectives had already had the employment records from Fantasy Adult Video to prove that Mike knew Ed and knew him pretty well. When police booked Mike into jail on September 13th, he denied any connection.
I mean...
You guys are fucking coworkers. You basically got him the job.
Okay.
And then you hired him. Anyways.
Yes.
Then he changed his story to say he did have a connection. However, he didn't do it. He told them, just because I know the guy doesn't mean I did anything.
Sure. Do you hear my eyes rolling?
Other evidence pointed to a plot with Ed. I mean, it was very obvious. There were no signs of forced entry, for one. So that meant that somebody who knew the codes to the alarm systems had let Ed in and then disarmed or like reset the alarms basically. Security records showed that someone had disabled the alarm at the home while Susan was at work. Mike later said he did this while he dropped off the note about going to the beach, but he denied letting Ed into the home. So then how the fuck would your coworker get into the home where there's a security system where the alarm code is your anniversary? So,
I mean,
and the only time the alarm was disarmed was when you were in the house by your own admission. So, like, I mean, I don't feel like it's very hard to put things together here.
what a maroon. All right.
On September 18th, a former cellmate of Ed's contacted police saying that Ed had asked him to join a burglary, which was described as an insurance scam.
What? Okay.
He and Ed met a guy at Southeast 82nd Avenue and Division Street, and I'm sure you'll never guess who they were meeting. I'll tell you. It was Mike. He told the man he would pay them $5,000 if he helped Ed kill his wife. Okay, so you're going to pay Ed $50,000 and this man $5,000. The man was like, no. Immediately, no. This convicted inmate is turning you down. Maybe you should think about your fucking choices. I mean, like, goddamn.
I regret everything.
You know what I mean? Like, he was immediately out. He was like, no, and then they just let him go. Like, you just told this man you have a plot to kill your wife and you're paying someone to kill him, but then he says no, and you're just hoping he doesn't tell anybody.
Why did he only offer him $5,000?
I don't know, because he's dumb.
Okay.
I mean, good, like, I guess that he didn't try to kill this man, right? But like, he immediately reported you guys. Like, he ratted on you as soon as he found out you did it. So on November 17th, another witness told police he had driven Ed to meet a bald man in the parking lot of an Applebee's near Interstate 205. Days after that, he saw the man's picture in the news. I'll give you another guess.
It was Mike.
He could deny it all he wanted, said Brian Davidson, a prosecutor on the case, but the weight of the evidence was extremely overwhelming. So when he realized the evidence was mounting by the minute, he didn't really admit that he did it or that he was in on it, but he said, I hurt a lot of people over the last year and I'm really sorry. And that's all I can say is, I'm sorry. Susan laughed at this statement and then began to cry. She said, I'm sorry. So she laughed at his statement because it's fucking ridiculous. But then she started crying because, you know, she was hurt. So on August 30th, 2007, Michael did plead guilty to soliciting a murder for hire plot against her. In an hour-long statement that she gave to the court, she had held up pictures of her own bloodied face to her husband and said, you told the police that you found out I was okay. Do I look okay to you? Like, she was still bruised and healing, and she had pictures from the day that she went to the hospital.
Wow.
You want to take a guess at how many years he got sentenced?
2.
Oh, no, a little more than that.
4.
Michael was sentenced to only 10 years in prison and later had 20% of that reduced for good behavior, so only 8. In the years...
I was like, I don't do math. Quick.
In the years following the attack, Susan said she felt as though someone was always watching her. She would sit in restaurants, but she had to face the door. She would drive in circles if she thought that even anybody was following her. She decided to move to a new home. She spent much of her time practicing at the gun range because she wanted to be prepared if Michael ever came back for her.
Wow.
Months before, let me say this.
Did she change cities or just
homes? She was in
homes?
the same city.
Okay.
Changed homes. But her fear was that either he would get out of prison and come for her himself because he just hired the wrong hitman. He would hire someone else.
Okay.
Or he would, just otherwise make her life miserable. So she was very afraid of this man. Like, she was very afraid that he was going to kill her one way or the other, because now he has nothing to lose. Not that he had much to lose before, in my opinion, but anyways, so months before his release, she issued a statement saying, "It's disturbing that he's getting out, but I know I can't keep him there. I've spent the last 8 years hoping and praying that he doesn't have any hidden funds anywhere. I'm hoping that he hasn't found someone in prison who said, you know what, you just hired the wrong guy. I'll do it." She felt that there was nothing stopping him from paying a new person to off her or hunting her down, like I said. So in 2008, she successfully sued him for $1 million for her emotional distress.
Wow.
And she did this not because she wanted the money, but a move that she made because she wanted to take every last cent that he had, because she didn't want him to have enough money to hire another hitman when he got out of prison.
Oh my God. That's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. She was quoted saying, "Unlike my ex-husband, who will be free in a matter of months, she feels as if she will never be free from the fear that a hitman may confront her when she's least expecting it." She said, "He got 10 years for attempted murder, and I've got a life sentence for picking a bad husband." I have to say, honestly, Susan had a really good way with words. Very powerful statements. She wasn't afraid to speak her mind in court, to let her husband know how he hurt her, and to let the court know how afraid she was. And, you know, she really did speak up as much as she could. However, because karma is a wonderful bitch sometimes, Michael died from cancer in prison in June 2014, on a Friday the 13th, nonetheless, just 3 months before he was scheduled to be released. Since the attack on her life, Susan has been very involved with crime victim advocacy. She works very closely with a justice organization's department in the Portland area.
Awesome.
One is Women's Strength and one is Girls Strength. And those are both programs that teach women and young women how to protect themselves, self-defense, just all of these techniques in case they're ever in a situation where their life's at danger. And it teaches to them for free. And then the other program she's involved with, or the other organization, is the Oregon Crime Victims Law Center. In 2017, Susan worked with the district attorney in her county to create Case Companion, which is a free website dedicated to supporting victims of crime in the area. It answers questions about the justice system, what to expect in proceedings. It provides online resources for victims. Also, as soon as the office files charges on someone, victims can track their offenders' court dates, sentencing details, and information about offenders when they are released.
That's awesome. We have something like that here.
Yeah. So Susan has stated many times that she just wants to raise awareness about the hurdles that crime victims encounter in exercising their rights. Mm-hmm. She said front and center, it's knowing what they can do. Ed, the hitman, his family wrote a letter to Susan, and in the letter they said that they didn't blame her for anything. That when he was
I would hope not. God,
I know, but when they said when he was little, he was well loved, but as an adult, he did all of these horrible, horrifying things, and that there's no excuse for his behavior, and he was so the family was so disturbed by his choices as an adult, and that they were sorry that she had to do that. They just wanted her not to feel guilty about it, because she had made that statement that all she could think about was his family when she was killing him. Like, if he had children or a wife or a mom or a dad. And so
gosh, what a good person. Jesus.
So it was his nephew that wrote her this letter. It was like a 3 to 4 page letter. There's some interviews where you can listen to her read it. But again, the overview of it was that they just wanted her to know that she did not need to feel guilty. She did not need to feel sorry for them, that they did not approve of any of this. Like, they did not feel sad over his death. They said that she was forced to do that. And by doing so, she spared so many others from experiencing the trauma that she had experienced. And they wished her well. She said in the many interviews that it was a very, very sweet letter, that she really appreciated it, because that did weigh really heavy on her conscience, because again, she had dedicated her entire life to saving people, and then this man forced her into a situation where she had to take the life of another human being.
She was going to let him live.
And she was going to let him live.
She was going to let him live.
She was going to let him live. And she started running and he attacked her again. And so she wasn't going to die. She was going to do anything she could.
And he wasn't going to go back to jail.
Yeah. Well, and he had that lethal dose of cocaine in his system. So who knows what his mindset really was. I mean, he was probably, I imagine, just like, I don't even know, like
just yeah.
Like
what
so
is
much
the
rage.
word? What
like,
is the word for having way too much cocaine in your system?
Dose. So, like, he had to
What
have,
is
like,
that word? Are you just so coked out of your mind?
Yeah,
I mean,
like,
what is that
he
word?
had probably all this rage inside of him. Like, he wanted that money because he also didn't have a job at the time. And so this murder to hire plot actually came up because he had told Mike he was looking for work. And Mike was like, well, actually, I have a job for you.
You spent some time in prison already.
Yeah.
How does that conversation happen? How does that conversation
It didn't work
happen?
when you try to kill your ex-wife, but let's try to kill my wife.
My future ex-wife. Yes.
Yeah, let's see how that goes. You know? Maybe, second time. I don't know. But anyways, his family, again, just wrote this really sweet letter to her, just letting her know, let it go.
Is he in my lemonade?
I don't know, maybe.
Yes. Yes, he is.
So anyways, again, they wish her well in the letter. She reads it in some of the interviews if you would like to go listen to it. So she actually continued working as a nurse until December 2014. People called her a hero, but she really hated to be called a hero. She did not feel like that. Again, she took no pride in what she did. She felt no shame, but no pride.
I know, but she's got to see that she's this iconic woman now. Cause I mean, man, she held her own in a really scary situation and then faced down her abuser in such a righteous way, man. Ugh.
Yeah.
Quotes for days.
Yeah. I mean, again, she's was this amazing person.
Yeah. She's already an amazing person.
Yeah. No,
She's
she was
an
already
ER
an amazing
nurse.
person.
Like, yes.
She's saving lives on a daily basis. And then this man who tries to kill her, she says that she's going to let him go. And then he still tries to kill her. So, like, I mean,
it's nuts.
So her boss, when she was still working at the ER, said they're not calling you a hero because you killed a man. They're calling you a hero because they want to believe, given the same circumstances, they too might survive.
That's it. That's the part right there. Oh my gosh. Boom.
Yeah. And so, like I said, she was just an amazing woman who was put into this very, very unfortunate situation. She spent so much of her life in fear of being killed again. She was always looking over her shoulder. Like she said, she served a life sentence because of a bad husband. And like, there's so many people that can relate to that. And, I mean, damn, But, you know, like I said, he died. So she's still alive and she's still fighting for justice.
Does she feel peace now? Does she still look around the corner with him gone? Does she still have that like fear?
She said that she was relieved.
I'd imagine.
But still, so there's an episode. So one of the episodes is "Who the Bleep Did I Marry," which is another big true crime show. It's mostly women talking about these insane people that they ended up marrying, very violent people or whatever. But her episode was season 2, episode 13. If you want to check that out. And then I did not make a note of the I Survived one, but I mean, I'm sure you can find it. She's, like I said, on so many. She's on a show called Crime Talk. There's a podcast called Crime Soup Podcast. And the title of the podcast is Don't Fuck with Susan. Again, there's just so many really good interviews with her. I was going to play some clips from her, but it's more or less what I said already. Like, some of them are kind of hard to hear because she, again, does not really enjoy talking about the situation. She just wants to talk about how she can help other people still. Yeah. So, but that's
it.
That's what I had because I wanted to talk about someone who was like
a badass. Yeah, she's a badass. That's awesome.
Yeah.
We're not going to leave here traumatized and crying.
Yeah.
See, we have feel-good episodes. See?
Definitely.
See, mark that on. I mean, you know, it was a horrible night for her, but she was a badass. It was
like an awful 15 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a life, right?
Yeah.
It's a life. She's got to live with that 15 minutes. Ugh. I would be like,
find that
I would be so scared of behind doors and stuff.
Yeah.
I'd be,
well, she was afraid of like just being alone. She was afraid of having a set routine. She, like I said, would always go to the shooting range because she wanted to know how to shoot a firearm accurately if someone came after her again. You know, like she was afraid to have her back towards a door of any kind.
What was that Jennifer Lopez movie? Enough.
Oh, yeah.
Where she learns how to box. She's like,
yeah,
I'll take you down.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, she's just getting herself ready. You know, but I can just imagine. Oh my gosh. Just coming home and you're like, oh, what's behind that door? What's behind that door?
After working, and this happened after a full shift of work. You know, she worked all night, went and got her hair done, and then came home and had to deal with this and then deal with it for the rest of her life. But she's won several awards for being, like she won an award for being like a crime advocate.
That's awesome.
Citizens Award. Like she's won a bunch of recognition for her efforts that she's been putting into helping other victims. Again, it's not something that she really wants, but they're giving it to her because she deserves it. But yeah, she's still alive. She, you know, she provides guidance for other victims, and so
that's a great story. All right, everybody. I don't know. It's gonna be a surprise for everybody what I bring y'all next week, but
be sure to message Kat happy birthday on Friday.
Oh, yeah, you don't have to.
Yes,
you don't have to. You don't have to do that.
Do it anyway.
All right, everybody. We will see you next week. Have a great weekend, and we see something, say something.
Yes.
Bye.